Hey everybody, welcome back to Bicoastal Crime. This is Carmen. How is everybody today? It has been a long one for me over here for sure. I spent the day working on some really heavy, really dark research that just has really brought down my brain today. So I was really excited to work and talk to Ashley and get part 2 of Maddie Clifton all done. Just a reminder that Casey is still out on vacation, but she comes back soon. Until then, next week we have interview with a medical examiner, and then we have a surprise 3-parter. Please ignore Tinkerbell in the background. But we have a surprise 3-parter case before the premiere of our new series, Mind Monsters, where we look into cryptids and the psychological ties to the diseases that are said to cause them. That is at the end of the month. We'll be premiering on Saturday, May 30th at midnight, everywhere you can find your podcasts. That being said, we don't have a lot of business going on right now. So I'm going to jump in to talking to Ashley now, and we are going to, this part is all pre-recorded. I'm re-recording the intro a little bit later because this turned into a surprise 2-parter because we recorded so much on it. Here's a funny intro bit though about lighthouses and how I really wish I could live in a lighthouse, and I hope you guys enjoy.
Blustered over there.
Which is, I feel like
you look like you're on a
old man by the sea. You know, in my lighthouse, and it's like, whoa!
In your lighthouse trying to record a podcast.
What are the job? How do you get in on being a lighthouse keeper? Because I already have crippling melancholy and sweaters.
I think you. The sweaters are a prerequisite. I think you can just apply, and some of them, I don't know, there's this one page I follow that it's called For the Love of Old Houses on Facebook, and occasionally I'll invite you to it. It's actually, it's cool just because it's houses for sale, and sometimes they're just really neat. Usually they're
I follow Zillow Gone Wild
a little bit, but like nice, like they're just like, this house is 150 200 years old, been through this, needs someone to fix it up, it's in its glory, ready to move in. Like, it gives all the details. But occasionally there's ones with lighthouses, and some of them are just like, yep, you buy the lighthouse, you're the lighthouse keeper. That is how it goes. Like, it's just, you gotta push yourself into it. You're on the West Coast. That should be easy.
I am on the West Coast. I'm going to have to find a lighthouse and buy that. But I have a really important question. What do you do when the light goes out? Do you have to change it yourself, or do you can I call Comcast?
You Comcast? It's a bulb. You have to go up and
but it
change
seems
yourself.
Really big, and it's really high up there, and I know I rock climb, but it's very different.
That's the whole point of having the keeper. Your one job is to keep the light going. That's why you're there.
I just want to live in a lighthouse. I don't want any of the responsibility.
You don't want the responsibilities. All right. So find a decommissioned lighthouse. They do have those, but I think those are more expensive because you don't have to do anything. So, take what you can.
Okay. So anyways, Joshua Phillips is the 14-year-old neighbor that Maddie and Jesse occasionally played with. Let's talk about him now. Josh was a happy and curious child that made friends easily, despite having moved 3 times growing up. gosh, here's the thing. I'm sitting here looking at all these notes of who Josh was growing up, and I don't want to read you any of them because Josh is the murderer. Spoiler alert, everybody.
Spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert, Josh murders her. And I have so much more on him than who Maddie was, and that pisses me off so much.
Yeah.
That I'm going to skim these so lightly and pepper them in as I talk to you.
We're not going to give Joshua the attention,
Hell no, we're not giving Joshua the attention, but we are going to change up my flow a little, so roll with me here. So, Josh, happy, curious child, made friends easily, despite having moved 3 times growing up, and he was only 14 at this time, and he and his parents had moved into that house about 2 years before this incident, the day Maddie went missing, November 3rd, 1998. I found it interesting that they pointed out that he was so easily made friends and everything, because that it's surprising to me, and I wanted to ask you about this, Ashley, with your degree in child psychology and everything, about young kids. That I thought that if they move around a lot and they're constantly uprooted as children, especially in very, very young ages, like he's moving around, like I think it was like age 3, age like 6, like very young ages, and then would have moved into that house he had just turned 14, so age 11. But he was known for making friends really easily, according to the people around him. Like, is that normal? Like, what is that?
I feel like it's easier when they're younger just because they looking at it, like if I were to look at a 15-year-old that's going to move schools, like they're going to be devastated because they have made these friends for as long as they can. But as soon as you hit a child that hits a elementary school age, so say like 6 and up, like they're going to make friends. But like, I'm going to be honest, I have friends from 1st and 2nd grade that have moved away and I've stayed and I don't remember them. So it's one of those things where it's just kind of like they adapt a little bit easier because it's not as permanent. Not saying like their location isn't permanent, because obviously it isn't, but it's just like
object permanence.
Like thinking back to my early memories, I can remember kindergarten and 1st grade, and I mean years before too. But at the same time, it's like I only remember a couple of key friends because I'm still friends with them, or was friends with them through high school, for example. So it's just kind of like I feel like it's easier to adapt when you're smaller, when you're younger.
Same. There's a blur where my childhood should be. There's a blur where large chunks of my childhood should be.
Everybody, yeah, it's all circumstantial. Everybody's different, and we all have different upbringings and backgrounds, and our dynamics are all over the place. But like your childhood, I already know, was very different than my childhood. But at the same time, we're both very, I think, adaptive, and we're just go with the flow, I think. So it's just like, long story short, everybody is different. Everyone has different upbringings, but at the same time, it's depending on the child too, because you could have 2 siblings go through the same experiences, and yet one is going to react this way and the other one's going to react another way.
That makes total sense, and that's why I really wanted to do a child murder with you, because you were like everybody. So how Ashley came up on this, I didn't just ask our staff photographer, though I'm so sorry. I know that you guys can probably hear the neighbor child screaming in the background.
Only a little bit.
So how I went about getting guests, though, for starters, was I made a Facebook post asking if anyone I knew and that I was be interested in guesting on the podcast, and that I was going to be really, really picky about it. And Ashley immediately sold me by going, "Hi, I have a degree in child psychology and I would love to do this and I love true crime." And I was like, you know what? You're already our staff photographer. This is perfect. Also, at the time, she did not know that we referred to her as our staff photographer.
I was voluntold into the position, and it's okay. I am ready to accept.
Just take our money. We want to pay you money for your pretty, pretty pictures. Just take our money. So Missy had just sent Josh off to school. She's got a couple hours before work. She's so irritated with Josh because she's been asking him to clean up his damn room all week, and he hadn't cleaned it, like a 14-year-old boy, like we said. And the room stinks. And she thinks maybe it's just the birds. Maybe it's some rotten food. Maybe it's teenage boy. Who knows? Either way, it's disgusting, and I'm done with it. So she goes in there with trash bags, and she starts throwing stuff away, putting stuff in trash bags, and she notices that the floor is wet, and she's like, fuck. Because Josh has a waterbed. Because it was the 90s, and that was a thing. Did you ever have a waterbed?
I never had a waterbed. My only waterbed experience was at one of my friends' houses, but that was 2005, and that was quickly outed. I never had one because we have hardwood floors in my house, and my parents, they were underneath the carpet, so it's like they just found them and were like, oh, these are great, but let's not treat them. Let's just leave them. So we never could have anything like that, which is, in retrospect, good because I would have popped the shit out of that thing. Playing with all my Breyer horses or any other things I had going on, I would have destroyed it.
That's hilarious because Easy. My next note says, she's like, fuck, because soaking wet floor equals floor damage. Ashley, you just bought a condo. You should know about floor damage being a problem.
Yes, our condo, our neighbor's pipe burst, and we had to replace 4 feet of drywall and the floor, and oh my god, the baseboard, everything. It was all brand new. We didn't even get to live in that bedroom, and we just finished it. It happened in January, and it is now April 4th.
That is,
as of this recording.
That is so frustrating. I'm so sorry. So about water damage, and why Missy was like, fuck. She was like,
yeah. Especially in the kids' room, because the kids are gonna hide it because they're like, my parents are gonna be mad. I can't tell them, I'm gonna get in trouble, and then it gets worse.
Exactly. And she's like putting two and two together. She's like, this disgusting odor, the floor's wet, the birds. There's got to be some mold, mildew, some disgusting, something's happening. It's growing and it's gross. And she's thinking that's what the odor is now. She's like, oh God,
oh, no.
Okay. And
I don't like where this is going.
So she touches the side of the bed frame and sees that even the bed frame's wet. And she touches the water bed mattress. She's trying to see how much, is it going to squirt water out? Is it a slow leak? Is it a drip? And she touches the mattress and it's all wet. And she's like, I'm going to have to drain this whole thing. Because fun fact, apparently, if you have a water bed to fix a leak in it, you have to drain the whole bed and then refill it. Who thought this was a good idea? That seems like the 90s? the biggest pain in the ass.
They're not even comfortable.
They're not.
What a waste. You can't even use waterbeds nowadays because everyone's going to be like, that's a waste of water.
I went down a stupid 20-minute rabbit hole on the internet about waterbeds. And y'all, they didn't look cool. They were not comfortable. They were a pain in the